welcome to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Levine. Living intuitively wild is about coming back home to ourselves. Here, we talk about how to live connected to ourselves, others, and nature, and make a commitment to radical authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance. On this podcast, we delve into a wide range of topics that span the human experience. We peel back the layers and talk about the things that are often not talked about. This is a space for us all to walk and wander this path of life together. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I am so excited to be sitting down with you guys to be recording this episode because we are talking about one of my favorite moments of the whole year and one that I love creating a ceremony around, and it's an extra powerful time to do so. If you're new here, one episode of the month is always a step-by-step guide to create a ceremony for a specific time that we are celebrating, whether that's a moment on the wheel of the year or one of the moon phases or just a moment that we have really decided to intentionally embody and be present with. We always sit down together and talk about how to create a ceremony for that, how to ritualize it. And so that is what this episode is here for today. And today we are talking about creating a ceremony for Samhain. And Samhain, you can also use this as your Halloween ceremony if that label feels better for you. It's totally fine. Samhain is just the more traditional root of this celebration. And it's a pagan holiday, a pagan tradition. It's from Ireland. There's many deep historical roots for it. And Halloween kind of stemmed from that in a lot of ways. In Gaelic, Samhain translates to the end of summer. So this is a turning point, a point of no return. To some, this is actually known as the Witch's New Year, a fresh start, a celebration, a reconnection. And I really love this because I think that the autumn equinox, September, this transition that we just moved through, is in a lot of ways that New Year energy that I don't think is really as present in January. And so I feel like September, the equinox, is that last step into this new, fresh, shedding energy. And then Samhain, October, moving into November, Scorpio season, fall, that's really where we're embracing that New Year energy before we go into our hibernation of winter. And like I said, this is Scorpio season, so it's all about going deep and then deeper still. And being a Scorpio rising, I am very familiar with this energy, and it's one that I feel very comfortable with. On the wheel of the year, Samhain is also the last harvest festival, so it's the time to gather up the last of the fruit that has dropped at our feet and to finally collect the seeds that weren't ready at the first and second harvest seasons of Lughnasadh and Mabon, which is the autumn equinox. And I wrote Substacks on both of those if you want to go back and reflect on them or just learn more about them. But this last harvest, the fact that there are 3 harvest seasons remind us that things evolve at their own time. There are some seeds that take a little longer to grow or need extra nourishment and care to really come to full fruition. And that's okay. And that's how life is meant to be. It is the last moment to stock up for winter. So in the past, we would have this last harvest season to really get the last of the fruits that we can keep with us to nourish ourselves through winter and to make sure we have everything we need before nature kind of sinks into her sacred slumber. Samhain feels like it marks a delineation, a line drawn in the sand. No matter who you are or where you are in the world, I really feel like the shift in energy at this time is palpable. It's as if the whole world is standing in a room filled with a different kind of air seeping through the vents. All of a sudden, the air just gets thicker. It's the season of the witch, as many lovingly call it. Truly, witch season is every season, The witch is not just an archetype or a costume. She is an embodiment. She's a practice for many people. She's a label, a lifestyle. It's a dedication to the way one can show up in and view the world. And actually, last year, I started exploring my association and connection to the identity of and the word witch in a way I never had before. And at this time last year, I recorded a YouTube video about that, and I'm going to release it as a podcast episode next week. So I think it's next week. So if you want to hear more about that, I highly recommend that episode, not only to hear more about my personal relationship with the word witch, but also to help you dive into your association with the word witch, with your power, with your magic, with the unknown, weird, maybe more taboo parts of yourself. So stay tuned for that. But truthfully, as I've continued my path and understanding of this knowledge, I've come to connect even more deeply with the identity of priestess than I do witch. And I'm really not big on labels in any area of my life, but I do believe that they can be helpful as a frame of reference and as a way for us to understand ourselves and to help others understand who we are as well. I'm currently entering my second spiral or level in my priestess training with my teacher, Kate Murphy. And that is a path I am boldly and loudly claiming and owning. And the difference in being a witch and a priestess, to my current understanding and what currently feels correct for me, again, this is not from any textbook or really from one source. This is just how I've integrated the knowledge and what my path has shown me. But it really depends on how you define your terms. For me, the biggest and most stark difference is that a priestess tends to be more community-oriented and service-centered, and the definition in itself encompasses the responsibility of sharing rituals and ceremonies and healing with others. And a witch, on the other hand, is typically a more solitary path. Not always, people gather in covens and really love doing witchcraft together or doing ceremonies and rituals together and making different magic in all the different ways you can together. But for a witch, it's not embedded in the definition that you go out and are more of a leader in the world with your work. A witch that path can be one that you can do quietly for you and you only. And so while I do feel I can label myself as a witch, that feels less core to my work in the world than the label of priestess. So that's a little bit of my association with some labels that come up at this time of year. I'm curious what that brings up for you. I think the word priestess is one that is not widely used yet, and therefore not as understood, and witch is really only understood as this archetype or a costume. So I find talking about it really important. I'm curious if you have any associations with the word witch or priestess or what that might bring up for you. Either way, this time of year hits a little different the deeper down my spiral I journey and the more I become and own more of myself. And I think that that's the same for all of us. As we embrace the parts of ourselves that we used to shame or push away, we're able to be comfortable in these deeper, darker times. And while magic is always in the air, at this time of year, it is thick with it. It's unavoidable. It's famously known as one of the most liminal times, when the separation between our earthly human realm and the mysterious spirit realm is the thinnest. You'll often hear people say the veil is very thin at this time. It's as if we can reach out and touch these other beings around us, whether that is spirits or ghosts or whatever that comes to mean to you. But the truth is, it really is unavoidable. The wind whispers a little louder, the crow's cawing message a little more obvious, the invitation to embrace all things magical, mystical, mysterious, a little more easy to accept. Other times of year, we might be deemed crazy if we were to pull out a cauldron and repeat a mantra 3 times while dropping herbs and oils and blades of grass into it while stirring 13 times in a clockwise rotation and wearing a witch's hat. On this day, it's allowed, or at least we're seen as a little less crazy. And while I don't own a witch's hat because I'm not a hat person, you may, / you will, find me whispering some spells and creating some potions on a regular basis. It's part of my rituals, if you will. To me, embracing this way of living has been a reclamation. Although the belief has been spread that believing and practicing magic and claiming to be a witch or a priestess is anything but grounded and rooted in reality, I really, really disagree. For me, claiming the identity of witch and walking the priestess path has helped me become even more grounded, steady, and stable in my life. It has supported my mental health, softened my anxiety, strengthened my sense of purpose, and brought my path more clearly into focus. The deeper I spiral, the more connected I become to my life. You might say this way of being was inevitable for me. I was born on a new moon on Friday the 13th, after all. And I am a Scorpio rising, like I said. Virgo sun and moon, which I really believe that Virgo and Scorpio are the 2 witchiest signs. However, I believe we all have magic to share with the world, just like I believe we all have strong, prevalent intuitions dying to speak to us. And the more present and aware we are of the whispers swirling around us, the more deeply we can open up to the fullness of who we are. This time of year is the perfect opportunity to do that. This is a time to not only dress up in costumes and stay up late watching scary movies. This is a time to step outside and actually listen to the secrets being shared with you. There is something desperate to connect with you. You don't even have to try at this time. Often it feels like it can be an effort to step outside and feel something in the air, but at this time of year, I feel like we just step outside and we get chills. And so simply opening yourself up and being curious and willing, and you might be surprised. The ceremony we are about to walk through is a perfect way to start and deepen this practice for yourself. Whether you have claimed the identity of witch or priestess, whether you're interested in magic or simply want a fun way to celebrate this time of year, what we're going to go into will connect to something within yourself wanting to be claimed. And I really hope you allow it to spark some magic within you. So we're going to get into the ceremony. And my recommendation is to listen to this full episode through and then see how you want to embody this in your own life. And for some people, listening to the episode is the ceremony, and either they do certain practices while they're listening, or they just see what comes up for them while they're doing it, while they're listening. This will also be on Substack, so if you want to listen to the episode and then read through the Substack to help you have the instructions with you while you're doing the ceremony, that is perfect as well. You also don't have to do this as a full-blown ceremony. You can just take some of these practices and incorporate them as rituals into your life. So for context, a ceremony is a larger event made up of a series of rituals, and it's really a time to step out of your day-to-day and into a whole new energy in order to reflect, release, set your intentions, and come out new. But a ritual is an intentional, intuitive grounding practice you can embody regularly in your day-to-day life. So this ceremony is made up of a bunch of different rituals that you can kind of separate from this ceremony and pick your own adventure kind of energy. Or you can follow it step by step and do it how it feels good for you. For me, how I will be using this, I do use it as my step-by-step process for creating my ceremony for Samhain. So in the days leading up to my ceremony, I will collect the pieces for my altar that we are going to discuss and either put my altar together beforehand or place the pieces where my altar would be for me to do so later. And when I collect my altar items before, I see it as a ceremony or ritual in and of itself. those practices are really sacred for me. And then I will get my herbal companions in advance and set my intentions for them. And if you want, you can go into some research about them and see what calls to you around that. And then on the day of the ceremony, I will set my space and decorate it seasonally, gather my yoga tools, put on music if I want, make sure I have my privacy, light my incense, my candles, really set the scene. And I make my tea with my herbal companions. And then I will open my ceremony, set my altar if I haven't already, sit with my herbal companions, practice the yoga therapy tools, move into the reflection questions, and then set my intentions. And then I will close my ceremony. So we're going to go into everything I just discussed now in detail, but for your reference, that's how I will be embodying this practice when I do my ceremony. So let us get into the details of our ceremony. So first we start by initiating and beginning our ceremony. And at this point, I already have my altar items collected. And I have my privacy, and I've set this time aside for my ceremony. So we initiate and begin by lighting our incense, our candle, setting our space, turning off the lights or dimming the lights. And then I always place a hand on my heart and state an intention. So really follow your intuition here. This initiation ritual can really be whatever you want it to be. Often my most felt intentions come through without me planning or thinking. I just speak from the heart. But you can say something like, I'm open to releasing whatever needs to shed and receiving whatever needs to be heard. My intention for this ceremony is to stay open, connect more deeply with myself, and listen to the messages wanting to be heard. Okay, so our altar suggestions. I have a small wooden altar that I use as my base, which I've shared some pictures of it on Instagram in the past, and I got it off Etsy a couple years ago. I love this altar. I've traveled with it, which is kind of crazy thinking back. I packed it in my bag when I moved to England. Definitely made my bags heavy, but I just had to bring my altar. Your altar does not need to be expensive or elaborate. You can buy a special piece specifically made for this purpose. Like I said, I got mine off Etsy, and it is labeled as an altar, but you can also use a makeshift altar such as a desk or a tray. You can place a cloth in the corner of your room and use that as an altar. It really is just this space in your home that can hold these special items for you, and one that you want to make sure no one else can intervene with, that will have this safety and special space. For our altar, you can add and subtract whatever feels good, but I always like to have the 5 elements present. So first, air. As you may or may not know by now, I am obsessed with the wind. I genuinely feel spirits and secrets live in the wind and are always speaking to us. And during this time of year, it seems that the whispers turn to screams. For our air altar item, we are going to go outside and maybe try to pick a particularly windy day and allow the wind to bring us a gift. First, state your intention, such as, wind, what item would you like me to place on my altar? I'm ready to receive. And then wait. And you can turn this into a meditation. Maybe you sit in silence until a leaf or a feather or something unexpected falls into your lap. Perhaps you do this on a walk, noticing where the wind draws your attention and finding your altar item that way. Perhaps a bird follows you in the wind and you print out a picture of that bird to place on your altar, or you see a leaf that the wind previously dropped to the forest floor that you feel drawn to. Whatever the wind brings your way, trust that and place it on your altar. You can even just be driving in your car and notice something blowing in the wind and then find something to symbolize that on your altar. Follow the pull. You'll feel it. You'll feel it. So that's our air item. And then fire, like I've said before, for new seasons, chapters, ceremonies, if accessible, get a new candle or one that you just used for ceremonies. And I love getting a new candle because I like ones that represent fall. So for me, I have candles that I just light during fall, just light during Samhain. Ones that are like pumpkin themed and apple pie themed. I find that really special. The first time you light this candle before placing it on your altar, bring it outside in the wind and watch the wind dance its way through the flame. Speak an intention to the candle while you do so, such as, "Fire, may you burn away all that cannot come with me into the next chapter. May you light the way for the path I am now meant to walk." And moving forward in the future, each time you light this candle, repeat this intention, or just allow yourself to reconnect to the energy that this intention sparks for you. And then water. So use some leftover water from your herbal infusion, which we're going to get into in a second, and place it in a small bowl. Speak your intentions into it and place it on your altar. And if you're not using the herbal companions in tea form, you can always place some of your herbs in water while speaking your intention and then put that on your altar. If you're not using the herbal companions at all, you can go outside and grab some leaves and speak your intentions into them and place them in water. Finding some way to connect to nature, speak your intentions, place them in the water, and letting the water absorb that energy of both the intentions and the plant is really powerful. And if you do use your herbs, you can drink this when you are done with your altar, when you're creating a new one, or at any time when you feel called to connect even more deeply with your intentions. Okay, next we are moving on to earth. So for our altar items for earth, we are doing cinnamon and salt for protection and magic. I always shake cinnamon salt on my doorsteps for protection when entering a new home or a new chapter or whenever I feel called to. And I always find myself placing multiple cinnamon sticks at each doorway and pouring cinnamon and salt around my home during Samhain and autumn in general, really. If you'd like, you can shake cinnamon and salt on your altar, but that can be a little messy. Or you can pour them into a bowl to put on your altar. And then I will mix the two together, repeating an intention for protection while I do so. Something like, "May this potion protect my path and magnify my magic." But you can make that whatever you want. And then lastly, our last element is spirit. Like we were talking about before, Samhain is when our connection to spirits, spirit guides, ancestors, fae, and all other beings that live in the spirit realm are most easily connected to and heard and felt. And this connection looks different for everyone. So find something that represents your connection to spirit or your spirituality to place on your altar. This may be a picture of your great-grandmother, a letter you wrote to your spirit guides, a spiritual book that you feel drawn to, or any other item that you have received through this connection. It's totally up to you. So like we were talking about, the collection of each of these elements is a ritual in and of itself. So that can be the whole ceremony for you. Sometimes just setting up the altar is my ceremony and is this act of devotion and such a impactful ritual. Also can be a part of your ceremony. So you can either collect those altar items beforehand and make sure you have them while you're starting your ceremony, or you can open your ceremony and go out and get all those items. Sometimes it's just hard to do it all at the same time, depending on timing and location and all the things. So sometimes doing them before so you know all your altar items are there can be really helpful. So then you just set up your altar during the ceremony. Okay, now we're going to move into our herbal companions. And this month we have 3. And combine these herbs make a really, really powerful potion to reclaim your power. And they connect you to the spirit realm, your desires, your intuition, and the ability to walk the path between worlds, protected, grounded, and in your power. And you can use these herbs however feels good for you. I tend to lean towards tea form, but you can also do tincture, body oil. I really love using other forms in conjunction with tea. Often I'll drink my tea and then I'll also have a body oil to use once in a while, but my tea is kind of more of a daily thing. So first we have mugwort. Mugwort has been my herbal companion, my herbal guide for a little while. Really started in September. I started to feel really called, maybe even the end of August, really called to mugwort for dream work. And mugwort helps bring your dreams into clear focus, both your dreams while you're asleep and while you're awake. And it connects you to your inner wisdom and that which you desire. It is known for use in rituals and spells and connecting you to the spirit realm and your intuition while also providing protection. Our next one is vervain. And vervain supports creativity and helps transform ideas into reality. It's a nervine, which means it works with the nervous system, and it stimulates the vagus nerve, soothes anxiety, and calms any internal imbalances. It helps you process and feel your emotions, especially the ones that may arise through new, unsteady circumstances, establishing a steady foundation for yourself. So while mugwort can help us enter these unknowns, vervain creates that foundation to feel safe within that. And then cinnamon, as we've been talking about, is an herb that amplifies magic and calls in protection. Connects you to your inner magic and whatever magic you are making. Ensures your intentions are established and respected and that your path forward is protected. Anything that you sprinkle cinnamon on will be amplified. So when you make a little potion, do some magic, sprinkle cinnamon on it, it just magnifies all of your intentions. Again, you probably want to have your herbal companions ready before you start the ceremony and then have them with you during the ceremony. So I'll be drinking my tea during my ceremony. I'll have the cinnamon to sprinkle throughout all the things, just pouring cinnamon on all the things. And I will also be using my herbal companions as a daily ritual after the ceremony. Next, we move into our yoga therapy tools. So at this time, we've initiated our ceremony, set up our altar, connected with our herbal companions, and now we move into our yoga therapy tools. So you might want a yoga mat here, but you can also grab a blanket or practice on your carpet. You just want to have something soft beneath you. I highly recommend doing this outside if you can. If you want a little extra magic ritual, you can circle your yoga mat or ritual space 3 times before beginning while stating an intention. And if you want to amplify and call in your intention, you can go clockwise. And if you want to protect and release, you can go counterclockwise. And again, none of this is fact. If you want to go counterclockwise, but you're also amplifying and calling in your intentions, go with that. Your intuition knows way more. These are just a mix of my lessons and learnings, also has felt good in my own intuitive practice. This is a time of year that on the surface seems and may even feel fiery and energetic. There's Halloween parties and bonfires and haunted houses and sweet treats and late night movie marathons. And yet I think when we really tune in, it's a time to soften and slow down. And I feel like people are feeling that this year more than ever. It's the time to prepare to go inwards, prepare for solitude, prepare for the silent stillness of winter. And it really is a preparation season. But we can only go inwards and be silent and be still if we acknowledge the fire present. We're starting with a little bit of movement. We're starting standing to release that fiery energy and then have the ability to soften into the earth. This practice is helpful if you're ever feeling pent-up energy, overwhelm, emotion, or simply want to soften into yourself. If you ever want to increase energy, you can do this in reverse order. But for this practice, we're going to start standing at the back of your mat or ritual space, and you're going to have your feet rooted into the earth, your hands by your side, and your chest and head rising towards the sky, in Tadasana. So for this ritual, imagine you are taking exaggerated steps forward, like you're walking your path with purpose and power. And as you inhale, you raise your arms above your head and lift a knee towards your chest, kind of in that 90-degree angle, your knee at line with your hip. And as you exhale, bring your arms back to your side and place your foot back on the earth, slightly in front of you. And yes, you are physically stepping forward. And then you repeat on the other side. And then continue as you walk forward towards the top of your mat. Try to pace your steps that you lift each knee at least 3 times. And when you're finished, come back to Tadasana. It's okay if you've moved off your mat. There's no right way of doing this. So now you're at Tadasana. And the next step is to notice your breath. Just start to pay attention to where your breath is at now. And when you're ready, on your inhale, you're going to breathe in twice quickly through your nose, and then exhale long and slow out your mouth. This practice can be intense, and some people do this practice in a very intense way for a long time. I don't love doing that. It's too activating for me, and that's not how I typically use my pranayama practices on a regular basis. Sometimes, but really just tune into your energy and your body, and you can keep this short if you want to. You can keep it soft, but repeat for at least 3 rounds. So it will sound kind of like this. Something like that. Then when you are done with that part of your practice, you're going to keep that same pattern going, but close your mouth so you are breathing in and out of your nose. And then start to deepen and slow down your breaths even more. So now your inhales become soft and slow as well, and your exhales become even deeper and longer. And this can be quite calming and is really good for your nervous system. So go for as long as you would like, but again, repeat for at least 3 rounds. So this time it will sound something like, and when you're finished, come back to your natural breath, still keeping it deep and soft and slow and connected. We really want to honor the transition and the shift in breath from the 2 quicker inhales and then the exhale out your mouth to the 2 softer inhales to the exhale out your nose really helps us transition. And that's how we get from the activation to the regulation and how we embody the softness and slowness. So once you have integrated that, found your presence and where your breath is at now, find your way onto your back in whatever way feels good for you. And then you're going to have your back flat on the earth and keep it there. And then start to bring your knees towards your chest so that you can place the tops of your hands on the tops of your knees. And then on your inhale, you're going to wrap your arms around your knees and squeeze yourself into a ball. And then on the exhale, release the tension and soften a bit. And then repeat 3 times. So inhale, wrapping your arms around your knees, squeezing yourself into a ball. Exhale, just release and relax. At least 3 times. And then we practice the ultimate release, Shavasana, also known as corpse pose. And this is practicing the ultimate surrender. This is what Scorpio season is all about. Really let yourself soften fully into the earth with your hands by your side, your legs straight on the ground, and your feet splayed out wherever they land. And just rest here. Keep your eyes closed, let your back melt into the earth, and try to notice if you feel any activation still running through you, any energy still irritating or itching at you to keep moving, or if you've been able to shift into this soft, slow, quiet energy. And just notice how it feels. Notice what comes up. And then stay for as long as you can. When you're ready, you're going to just roll over and grab your journal and pen. And we're going to move on to our reflection questions. So, reflections. What parts of yourself have you been resisting? What parts of yourself do you feel you have to keep hidden? What parts of yourself do you want to keep hidden? What does magic mean to you? How do you already practice magic in your life? How do you want to practice magic? What is your association with the word power? What does it mean to you to reclaim and own your power? What does being powerful feel like? I think many of us have pushed away certain parts of our magic, or if that word feels not right for you, you can say your gifts, your talents, or parts of you that you think are different or weird, because they're actually what makes us really powerful, and we have grown afraid of our power. We've been taught our power is not okay, and that being powerful is not okay. We all have different thought processes around this or unconscious beliefs around this, but there's something in the word power and being powerful and magic and having magic that's intertwined, and that we have been taught to reject and judge and, in fact, not even believe in. So this is really a time for you to delve into that. Take your time with these questions. You don't have to answer all of them. You can just focus on one if you'd like, but really allow yourself to go deep with them, to push yourself with them. And then from there, we're going to move into setting our intentions. So from what was revealed to us throughout this ceremony, we set our intentions. And here are some journal prompts to guide you if you'd like. You can also go directly from your reflections to your intentions if you already know what you want your intentions to be. So, intention questions. How can I lean into magic even more this season? How can I follow my intuition and inner guidance more? How can I step into my power more fully? What may hold me back from this? What rituals can I devote myself to in order to embody my magic and own my power? And from there, we're going to write out 1 to 5 intentions you have for this season. So however long you want these intentions to last is up to you. I typically do, honestly, it varies for me, but often I will do from one moment on the wheel of the year to the next, or one season to the next. So I will probably keep these core intentions until the winter solstice. Example can be connect more deeply with nature. And then next to each sentence, write out an intentional action step you are devoting yourself to in order to truly embody your intentions. These are the rituals and the action, the practices that you are going to integrate into your life daily. This is the way you are truly going to make shifts in your life, because otherwise the intentions are just words on paper. If you don't have the intentional action, there will be no shifts. So an example of this, if our intention is connect more deeply with nature, next to that we can write, make my herbal infusion and sit with it in nature at least 3 times a week. And then after that, shift all of your intentions into the present tense in some way so that you can state them as a daily devotion and remind yourself that you are, in this moment, claiming these intentions. So for this example we've been using, this can look like, I am deeply connected to and guided by nature. And repeating that intention statement can be part of your rituals that you do daily. Now we have made our intentions, and I always like to write mine down and put them on my altar somewhere I can see them every day, or whenever I connect to my rituals and come back to my practice. And I think it's really helpful to have them somewhere that you can see them every day, even in your notes app. I do that as well because it reminds you. And part of your intentional action can be putting it in your calendar or setting a reminder, making a plan with someone to do some of these rituals with. Really commit to them and weave them into your life. And then we close and complete our ceremony. And I always come back to how I started. I place a hand on my heart, I close my eyes, and state an intention such as, I thank the elements, my guides, and my inner knowing for being here with me today. Please continue to protect me and show me my path forward. I promise to trust my path. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This ceremony is now complete. And then I will snuff out my candle and just sit with how I feel for a moment. And then we go back into our day. But really, we're taking this ceremony with us. This ceremony is setting the stage for the rest of our life and how we want to feel, who we want to be, how we want to show up in the world. And I really hope that this ceremony serves you, that these rituals support and stabilize you. I hope that it helps you see your way forward a little more clearly. I hope it helps you enter this next chapter with more softness, security, and presence. And more than anything, I hope it inspires you to reclaim your power and reconnect to your magic. And I really hope you take the time this Samhain, this season, to do this ceremony, to incorporate these rituals, to really set your intentions and be with yourself. And you can do it with your friends, call in your coven. You can do it by yourself. You can hold a ceremony for others. Really just listen to your intuition and what's feeling right for you in this season. It can feel like a very solo inwards time, and for others it can feel like a time to gather with others, and then for other people it can feel like a time to lead and host and make the space for others. Call people into this ceremony. So find what feels good for you. Would love to hear what comes of this ceremony for you. I would really love to hear how it feels, what it sparks, what it brings up. And if you are looking for a space to do these kinds of ceremonies and rituals together in person, you should get on the wait list for my in-person ceremonial space, apothecary and studio for connection, that I am opening very soon in upstate New York. Or reach out to me. We can also work on one-on-one. This whole thing is written out on Substack with many more rituals and ceremonies and other insights and stories and thoughts from my heart on there. But I just wish you the most magical Samhain, the most magical season, and I will see you all next time for more magic. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.